No matter where you live, an African village or Chicago, you have to deal with money no matter who you are. It is fundamental. It's like oxygen. It is something that is fundamental
Every culture
around
in the world, no matter what.
So I just want to start with that piece, as that was part of the inspiration for this. It's not an issue of a developed country or an emerging market. It's the whole world. Every person, every family has to deal with money in some way every single day. That's number one. Where I was rooted in this story and where this became my calling was how I grew up and how money affected my life and created, quite frankly, a great deal of trauma for me.
Because you were the youngest of 6 children. And never had it.
Right. And so I grew up with a single mom, and there was just a shortage at all times. So we would get evicted, our phone would get disconnected, our lights would be turned off. There was a time we were living in an abandoned building. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Really traumatic when you're a child. Because when you're a child, you have no control. You can't go get a job.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. On top of that, I had a mother who was incredible in so many ways, but made really bad money decisions. And that was hard to watch even as a child. And I kept thinking, this isn't a good idea. So my mom would buy Easter dresses instead of paying the light bill. I had that mother.
Yeah, because the Easter dresses, everybody gets to see you, and
Correct.
you look like
you had to go to church looking a certain way.
Yeah.
But
Did you have the patent leather shoes too?
Of course, Mary Jane's. But we didn't have lights at home. And so that was one of those things that caused me so much anxiety. So at a very young age, I said, I want to understand money. I want to understand it. I want to not repeat what I'm seeing all around me. I want to make better decisions. It wasn't about an amount of money. It was about truly breaking it down so that I could do and live life in a different way. And so I think that it's no accident I work in the investment business and have my entire career. My trauma in life became my purpose.
Oh, I love it when that happens. When you take the thing that made you feel so powerless and you turn it into your real power. And obviously you have done that. And now you say 77% of adults, I would think it's even more, are anxious about money, that they don't want to talk about it. And parents don't want to talk about it to their children. Parents who have the money don't want to discuss it because they don't want their kids to feel entitled. Parents who don't have the money don't want to discuss it because they don't want their children to have to worry about that.
Yes. 77% of people say they have anxiety about money. A lot of it is rooted in a lack of knowledge and information.
And why are people so uncomfortable talking about it?
Because we don't grow up in schools where we learn about money.
That's why I really do believe, and I've said this behind your back, this should be taught in schools. This should be a part of the curriculum for young kids, because learning in a fun way like this makes it accessible. It makes you not have fear about it.
Correct.
Right.
And I think the thing is, when you can anchor it, not only do you not have fear, you're kind of excited about what you're learning, because everyone who's read the book, and I've had so many different types of people read the book, they always say to me, who knew?
Yes.
And they feel so empowered by knowledge that they think that they hold that other people don't have.
That's right.
And it makes it, especially for kids love facts, but this is not an encyclopedia. The facts are all quirky and different.
And one of the reasons why I think it's so fun is because you actually used your daughter, Everest, who's 11 years old, to help you in writing the book and also helping to understand what was accessible for her, right?
Yes. So my first draft of the book I gave to my husband.
Yes.
And who knows a thing or two about telling stories.
Yes.
And he looked at me and he said, it's too sophisticated. And I was like a little offended. I was like, I know how to talk about money. He's like, I think it's a little sophisticated. So I gave it to Everest, who was 9 years old, the first draft.
Yeah.
And I said, because I started when she was 8, I said, read it and circle every word you don't know. And it came back with a lot of circles.
Yes.
And so I said, you know what? I'm not dumbing this down. I'm going to explain every word that she circled. So sometimes I gave the phonetic definition. Sometimes I gave the definition. We did funny, hilarious footnotes, all sorts of things where I said, I'm not going to walk away from the concept, but I do understand I need to break it down another level. And so she read multiple drafts until I felt that she truly understood the concepts, which I was just literally using her as my, one-person focus group child. Then we took it to expert readers and did peer review with teachers and things like that.
And explaining everything from bartering. One of my favorite lines is when young Melody in the book, Melody, says, oh, I wanted to buy a book, and I couldn't because I was trying to. They don't take cupcakes. And I thought, that is Gayle King, okay? You're talking about Gayle King trying to barter for cupcakes. What's the most surprising thing you learned while writing this book?
There are so many facts, and I was just I spent a long time researching, and everything had to be vetted, and we had to make sure everything was absolutely true. But one of my favorite ones is we think about the first official credit card having been born basically 75 years ago.
Yeah.
When this businessman was traveling in New York and he forgot his wallet, he had dinner,
right,
and he didn't have any money, and he ultimately invented what was called the diner's card for dining. It was originally cardboard, not plastic, even though we call credit cards plastic. But that wasn't really the first credit card. The first credit card was a knight's ring from 1,000 years ago.
I know. Who would have ever?
They used signet rings to pay for things because the king or queen did not want the knights on the road where they could be robbed. And as a result of that, they gave the knight a signet ring. The knight would stay at an inn or go to a pub and then put their ring in the wax seal. And then the innkeeper or the pub keeper would take the bill to the castle and get paid.
So when I was reading this, I was like, did you know that already? Or did you research and find that?
I didn't know that one, but there were a lot of things I did know, like bull and bear. That's one of my favorite facts. Why do they call it bull and bear markets when I started to work in the investment business? And very early on, after doing lots of research, because I wanted to know, the best answer I got was it had to do with how they kill their prey. That when a bull kills its prey, it takes its horns and it pulls up. And when a bear kills its prey, it runs and bears down on the prey. So stock market going up is a bull market, stock market going down is a bear market. That is something I knew, for example. And there were a lot of other facts in the book that I knew that I said,
I didn't know that when I read that.
I knew Wall Street was because of where Alexander Hamilton lived. Now, a lot of people know that fact today because of the show Hamilton.
The play, yeah. Okay, so what do you think, Melody, that most parents get wrong when it comes to money and their children?
So the first thing is that their lack of willingness to talk about it basically means that they pass on all of their money habits. So whatever they do,
money fears.
The child is actually just acclimating themselves to the same behavior. Then you can't break the cycle. There's not that 10-year-old Melody saying, I don't want to do this.
Yes.
So you can't expect a child to do that. That's number one, that in not dealing with money, they are de facto teaching their children everything that they do. So if you pay the minimum payment, your child's going to do that. If you overspend, your child will spend. These are things that we know for sure.